The next one's more about kind of local services for this local area, please. We have a question from Louise. We'd like to know, why isn't there a fundraising branch in Bedfordshire? I'd love to be able to get more involved in my area.
Well, firstly, I wish there was a fundraising branch in Bedfordshire. In fact, I wish there was a fundraising branch in every county. The fact is that we set up support groups, branches, coffee and chat groups and similar wherever we can and wherever we have interest from enough volunteers to be able to do so. So in terms of forming support groups, fundraising groups or whatever it might be, if people want to do that, if they want to help us and support the work that we do, we'd love to hear from them and we'd love to work with them to make that happen.
Okay, and like I said, these are on a similar topic. Martin would like to know, will Epilepsy Action cover more of the country, especially in the South East?
We'd love to. We'd love to be able to cover as much of the country as possible, and in particular we would like to be wherever people want us to be. The reality, of course, is that we're limited by the capacity that we have within the organisation to respond to people's needs. That isn't just money, it's also about people, and that isn't just staff, it's also about volunteers. So before we can actually set things up, we actually need people who are prepared to help us, to work with us, and to represent the charity in their local communities.
Okay. And we have a question from Gillian as well, who says there is nothing in the North East for me to go and sit in a group of people with the same condition. What can people do if they'd like to just meet other people with epilepsy?
Yeah, it's a similar sort of question, and I think it's a really interesting one because we have found increasingly that people aren't necessarily looking for very organised or very formal opportunities to get together. They just want to meet perhaps other people with epilepsy every so often for a chat and maybe a cup of coffee or something like that. And that's one of the reasons why we have set up what we call coffee and chat groups. These are opportunities for precisely that, for people to come together in a very informal way, just to sit down, have a chat, perhaps about their epilepsy, but not necessarily, it could be about anything. It's just an opportunity for a social meeting, if you like. Share a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and really break down some of that isolation that epilepsy can bring for a lot of people. So it helps get people out, it helps to get them out into their own communities. These sorts of meetings are often held in very public places, which I think is to be encouraged. And we're finding that they're incredibly popular. And again, as with all our other opportunities, we're very keen to work with people who are interested in setting up such groups to actually do that. And very often people will say, why isn't there a group here? Why isn't there a group where I live? And it may seem very simple to say this, but actually if you're interested in setting up something like that, or you want something like that, then help us, work with us, and we will work with you to try and make that happen.